And I knew that my regular sex hormones were low for years. One day I said, you know what? We're going to do keto. I don't know what it is. We're going to learn as we go. As all I knew is you cut the carbs. That was it. So after doing lots and lots of trial and error, it was just something that worked for us and made us feel good. And it was just a diet that was very sustainable for us. We just kept rolling and loved the results.
If you've been watching, you know that I take my ingredients very seriously, but there are 3 companies that I have found that I absolutely love. Check the description for discount codes. Hello, welcome to my show. My name is Adrienne. This is a series where I interview different people who've inspired me to live a healthier life. Today I have Amanda, and this is going to be such a great conversation because Amanda has had so many different struggles throughout her health journey that many of us have had, and she's actually finally found some things that are working for her. So I'm hoping we can talk about them. Maybe it could work for me, maybe it could work for you. So thank you so much for coming on, Amanda.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, could you tell us a little background? I understand that you have been keto. How long have you been that? And how did you end up in a place where you would even want to go keto?
Yeah, we started keto in 2019. I had heard about it, but I had no idea what it was. And I just told the husband one day, I said, you know what? We're going to do keto. I don't know what it is. We're going to learn as we go. And as all I knew is you cut the carbs. That was it. So after doing, lots and lots of trial and error, it was just something that worked for us and made us feel good. And it was just a diet that was very sustainable for us. So we just kept rolling and loved the results, and that was easy for us to stick to it.
How much weight did you lose?
Over 110 pounds.
Wow. How long did
Yeah.
that take?
16 months.
Wow, that's super fast. And your
Yeah.
husband, did he need to lose weight too, or was he doing it to support you? Or
Yeah, he was not as overweight as I was, and he didn't have any of the medical issues that I did, but he had lost, I think, 55 pounds, 55, 65 pounds, something like that. So yeah, the happy life, happy marriage after kids, we're done with kids and just eating all the things, and we just really packed on a lot of weight after our youngest was born. So yeah, it was time to do something.
does he still do it with you?
It does, yes.
Wow. Okay. So
Hmm.
a lot of people will say, I hear this all the time, keto, carnivore, meat eating, low carb, that's not sustainable. How are you making this sustainable?
Well, we go through spurts where we're pretty fully keto for a while, and then sometimes we'll do some lower carb options, low carb tortillas and such. I think those kinds of like processed products are hard to keep within a keto range especially if you're counting total carbs versus net, which I started with net and it worked perfectly fine for me. But I would say we're more of a low carb slash keto right now. It's just what makes us feel good and that's easy to stick to.
What are some of your favorite foods that you make? Like, do you have staples that you guys do just all the time?
Oh, tacos. We just had tacos today. Yeah, and I have found that I really like the siete almond flour tortillas. So I like to fry those in a little bit of avocado oil, and they are so good. And I cannot do almond flour like bakery products or any of that. It tears up my stomach and it's a bunch of inflammation and water retention, but I can do those tortillas. So definitely tacos or taco salads or walking tacos, taco in a bag with the Quest chips, but we do a lot of the same things. Turkey burgers, I like a deconstructed stuffed pepper casserole. I just made that last night. So we just have the same things on repeat for the most part.
You had mentioned something about health. So did you do keto for health as well? And what was going on?
Honestly, I started keto for vanity reasons. I'm 5'2", so I'm very short, and a lot of weight is easily seen and felt on my body. So I did not feel good, but I did not realize that keto would make me feel the way that it did. I really just wanted to look better in my clothes and feel better about myself. So once getting some results from that, I guess I could tell that I felt good. But then by the time I lost all my weight, over 110 pounds, I'd realized that something still was not right. Like, of course, I felt better, but something still was not right. So I had been pushed off for years and years and years. It'd probably been at least 12 years trying to figure out what was going on with me, before losing weight. And every doctor would just say, "You're too young for that kind of pain. Lose weight and come back and see me." Well, one time I finally did. And I lost over 110 pounds and I went back and I'm like, "Okay, what now?" And they still couldn't answer that for me. So yeah, it took a while, and, I had kind of wiped my hands of trying to figure out what was wrong, what was going on with me, why I felt like that. And one day I'm just like, let's I heard another person on Instagram talking about her symptoms and, what she was testing and the symptoms of that, and I'm like, that sounds pretty familiar. And I knew that my regular sex hormones were low for years and years. I knew about that. I asked my regular PCP to run those labs for me, and she said she would, but it would be super expensive because insurance didn't cover it. And so it just opened a big can of worms. But a lot of it was listening to other people's stories, with Hashimoto specifically, because those symptoms is what resonated with me. And I got the labs done, and sure enough, that's what I got.
So, like, how many doctors did it take to figure out that you had Hashimoto's and how many years? Because I've been on this path too. I was like, something's wrong. I am so tired. I'm so cold. My nails are falling apart. My hair is brittle. I can't even brush my hair. And they just kept telling me I was normal.
Mine started with joint pain, and then I noticed the pitting in my nails, like severe pitting, like losing my nails. Like I already have one toenail that's off, so that the nail issue has not been fixed yet. But I don't know. I can't tell you how many doctors I went to. At least a handful, at least 5 or 6 of them. But once actually getting the diagnosis, that's when the biggest struggle came, was to find somebody to actually help me. But in the beginning, it was the brain fog. I had chronic migraines. I was diagnosed with so many different things that I don't think I even had. I think that it was Hashimoto's and thyroid disease this whole time.
And did they send you
Yeah,
to 20 different doctors that didn't help
yeah,
you?
yeah. I was
One
even,
for your hormone, one for your gut, one for your endocrine system, one for your blood sugar. Like, did that
yeah.
happen to you
Well,
too?
it kind of. I was actually sent to oncology because they couldn't figure out what was going on with my blood at the time. So they were trying to rule out cancer for me. So it was a roller coaster before actually figuring out what the issue was. Yeah.
So you find out you have Hashimoto's. When I found out, they were pretty much like, it is what it is, and you're gonna have to come back when your TSH is too high. When you come back when you're hypothyroid and we'll give you some thyroid medicine, but until then we can't really do anything, is what I was told. What happened when you found out?
I had labs done. I had specific ones I wanted her to run for me. She didn't know why I wanted specific ones done, but the majority of them, I will say, she did run. And she just gave me a T4 medication and said, try this and come back, and maybe we'll give you some more. And that started a whole tornado the past year with
When
with
I
the
asked
T4
my
medication.
When I asked my primary to run, T4, reverse, T3, reverse, am I saying it right? All the and then the 2 different antibodies, she was like, "I can run them, but you have to take this to an endocrinologist because I don't know how to read this."
Yeah, I'm not an endocrinologist and I know how to read it. So
Right? How did you
yeah.
know to get those labs done?
It was somebody on Instagram that was talking about it, and then they recommended Dr. Amy Horniman, and so I listened to her podcast, and a lot of the things that she talked about was what I felt like, and so I knew that I needed this, that, and the other done. I kind of thought I had it, but then I kind of thought I didn't. So it was kind of like, maybe let's see. But when my labs came back and I had a TPO antibody of 4,000, there was no questioning that. So yeah.
Okay, so they put you on T4. What
She put
happens? Do you get
more.
better?
No, absolutely not. I got way, way worse, to the point to where I was regretting digging this back up because I didn't feel that bad before. I mean, I felt worse after starting the treatment. She knew how to diagnose, she knew how to order labs, but she had no idea how to treat, and it screwed me up
So what kind of symptoms did you get?
with the T4.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, severe stomach bloating, couldn't digest any food. And mind you, I had lost 110 pounds. I know how to lose weight. I know how to eat in a calorie deficit. I know my body. Yeah, I'm in tune with my body. I know how it works and what it likes and what it doesn't, the type of fuel I need. But starting T4, I was so waterlogged. I was so puffy and fluffy and bloated, no food digestion, could not poop for days, stressed. I was gaining massive amounts of weight very quickly. The brain fog was coming back. Everything, all of it was just coming back just worse.
And for people who don't realize even what kind of medicine they're on, what is that called?
Mhm.
Levothyroxine?
Levothyroxine. Mhm.
Um,
Yep, that's what I was given, was T4 only.
so do you go back to your doctor and you say, "Hey, I still feel like crud," or what do you
I
do
did.
then?
I did, and I, asked her to increase my T4 at the time because I was still very new to this and not understanding what was going on, and I did ask her, I said, "There's somebody I follow on social media that is a thyroid expert, and she says that 98% of thyroid patients need additional T3 medication, which is a liothyronine." And I asked her, I said, "What do you think about that?" She goes, "Oh, I don't agree with that." And I'm like, okay. So she didn't ask me about food or about anything of what I ate or if I exercised or any of that. And it's just, I kept getting these red flags popping up all the time. And so I knew, so we did end up upping my T4, the Levo. And I still felt even worse. So I knew it was. She kept telling me, that my testosterone was low and that she was going to order me this cream and that it would be shipped to my door. And like 2 months went by and it never came. And I'd call and ask, and it was just a whole nightmare. So I found yet another one. So I had
So
to find
so you're
somebody else.
so you're feeling fluffy, and so you're trying to lose that. How is the weight loss or trying to get rid of this? Like, what kinds of things were you doing to try to get rid of it, and did it work?
No, it did not work. So even though I was in a calorie deficit, which was a deficit from before starting this medication, because clearly it wasn't a deficit at the time, that T4 had shot my reverse T3 up so high that it shut down my metabolism. So that calorie deficit that worked for me before was no longer working now. So even weighing and tracking all of my food and sticking within what I thought was a calorie deficit, it did nothing. I was actually gaining weight or maintaining that highest weight that I saw. I call it during the thyroid season. So it was a nightmare. And I couldn't get off the couch. I had zero energy. I felt terrible. It was bad. I was really regretting doing this
So
at
how
that
long ago
point.
was that?
That was last year. So I
So not
didn't
that
get
long ago.
yeah, I didn't get a doctor to listen to me. I knew what I needed after all this trial and error. I went through, I think, am I on my fourth doctor now? Yeah, fourth doctor. I didn't start feeling better until after KetoCon Hack Your Health this year. So yeah, it
So
was a whole year.
every single doctor you went to almost did they kinda gaslight you that you're fine, we've got the treatment for you, this should be working, and if it's
Yep.
not, you just need to
Yep.
work harder, get
Yeah,
more sleep?
at the very beginning, they would just promise me unicorns and rainbow poop, and you'll be great in no time. We'll get you fixed right up, and that never happened. I thought I had found a better doctor the second one that I went to. It was a telehealth because I'm in small town Iowa. There's nobody around here even knows what T3 is. So, I did a telehealth appointment and he was great in the beginning. But I myself was upping my T3 and saying, hey, this is working. Hey, my reverse T3 has come down. I've lowered my T4. He had put me on NP thyroid at the time. I'd asked for additional T3 and then I was slowly increasing that myself and then reporting back to him saying, hey, this is working. And he would just say, oh, congratulations. I'm glad that's working for you. So, was it January? I think it was this January, I went to refill my T3 medication, and, the pharmacy contacted them, and he had put a reject on my refills. So he left me with no thyroid medication and would not return my calls or answer my emails of why.
Wow, because you cannot just stop that. I mean, if I
Yep,
even take mine down a little bit, I'm so tired I can't get out of bed.
yep. If
Wow,
I forget my afternoon dose, I'm really feeling it.
and I get cold, like a bone
Mhm.
chill, and I'm freezing and
Yeah.
I need to go to bed. So I feel like I'm kind of where you were, which is I just don't have a ton of money, and if I go to the doctors my insurance cover, they have no idea what to do with me. And what they
Yep.
do with me seems to be the opposite of reality of what I
Mhm.
need. So I've been like you, listening to podcasts, listening to friends, listening to Dr. Amy, listening to Dr. Tina, listening to whoever I can to try to figure it out myself, like
Mhm.
DIY my
Yep.
way into health. And I feel like we're part of the way there, but I still feel like crud. Okay. So then I see you at Hack Your Health, and I want to take this moment to just show some before. Well, I'm going to show first of all this. I'm sorry, this is probably going to cover your face because of the way I'm doing this. Oh, it didn't. Okay. So here's you and Dr. Amy Horniman.
Mhm.
And I got to meet her at Hack Your Health as well. She is an expert in thyroid and hormones and amazing. She has a podcast on Apple, Spotify. Is she on YouTube? It'd be really cool if she was.
I don't know.
But she's amazing, and so I've been following her as well, so you got to meet her. I'd like to show I don't wanna show some of these because we're gonna talk there today. So, I did get to see you, and I think
Mhm.
you look absolutely beautiful here, but I remember how you were feeling, and I
Yeah.
remember you just being very open that you were not feeling well. You were not feeling
Yes.
optimal at Hack Your Health this
Yes.
year, which was, like, June 1st of this year, so just a few months ago.
Yep.
And here's another one with Stacy. Stacy's been somebody I'm sure because you're friends with her that she's been kind of a light trying to pick some holes and get us thinking. So if you follow
Mhm.
Stacy, I think it's Keto in Court on Instagram, and you can follow Amanda, Building Amanda 88 on Instagram as well, and just kind of get some ideas like of different. Well, you motivate me to keep lifting, and I kind of want to ask you about some of the supplements used, but anyway, okay, so we go to Hack Your Health, and Stacy's like, "You have to start working with Dr. Amy,"
Mhm.
right? Did other people say it too?
Well, I had already,
Did you
scheduled
already
my
make it?
appointment. I already had
Okay.
my appointment scheduled. Once, I went after the male doctor that I went to that rejected my meds, I went to another large, thyroid, clinic here on IG, that claimed, you know,
Rainbows and ponies.
leprechauns and yes, all of the things, and paid a very pretty penny, keeping
Mm.
Dr. Amy in my back pocket because I didn't want to shell out that kind of money at that time. I thought, oh, I can get somebody else to listen to me, listen to the way that they treat, their patients and stuff like that. But that didn't last very long. It lasted a few months, and they wanted to treat my labs and not my symptoms. So they don't treat the way that they claim that they treat on their Instagram, and I found out firsthand, unfortunately. So that was the third doctor that did not work out for me. I was told they had switched me to Armor, and I was on 60 mcgs of T3 at that time when I saw them, and they test their labs at peak. And so I played their game and I tried it their way, and that left me severely undermedicated that I could not get off my couch for months. They were trying to scare me, saying that all this T3 that I'm taking is not good for me, and I'm going to have all of these heart issues and heart palpitations and heart attacks and all of this stuff. But I tried their game. I told them I was very reluctant to increase my T4, is what they told me, and they cut me from 60 mcgs of T3 down to 12 and a half mcgs a day. It was
Can I
horrifying. It was terrible.
So I hopefully my audience knows. I'm going to ask you some numbers if you're comfortable with it, just to get
Yeah,
an idea. But it really is different for every single person. And you really
it's
have to
very
work with
trial and
someone you
error.
trust. But this is going to give you an idea of maybe if you're still not feeling optimal, that, and if somebody tries to scare you, that maybe you need to work with someone else.
Yep.
So were you taking 60 twice a day or 60 total a day?
Total. I was split dosing.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so they move you to natural and they really ticker that down to
Yeah, they took
12.5
me.
per day?
Yep. Yep, yep.
Wow, okay. For people who don't know, I think you might have gone into it a little bit, but why doesn't T4 work in 98% of people?
Because most of us don't convert, and the answer and the reason for that is because of all of the toxins. I'm gonna get a little woo-woo on you, but it really is the truth. All the candles we burn, the lotions we slather on our skin, the makeup, the perfumes, the body sprays, everything, the chemicals, the hairspray, the dry shampoo, everything that we put on our body or that our body absorbs, like smells, candles, all of that jazz, it really messes with our hormones and our endocrine system, and it really hijacks everything. So treating thyroid patients with just T4 like they did back in the 50s doesn't work today in this day and age because they didn't have all that crap back then. They didn't have all the preservatives and the chemicals in their food and all of that stuff. They
And
didn't
seed
eat
oils.
such a processed, yeah, such a processed, highly palatable diet like people do now, like I used to. And so when that happens, you're not going to convert that T4 medication that you need to convert into your gut and your kidneys. It's not going to convert over to the active thyroid hormone, which is T3. So your body only produces T4, and it's your gut and your kidneys that is in charge of converting that T4 to the active hormone of T3 that gives you the metabolism, the bowel movements, the digestion, the all of it. So your body temperature is another huge one when it comes to T3. So if I'm not converting, so I got up to 120 milligrams of NP with that second doctor, and my reverse T3 was 35. I was not converting all of that T4 that I was taking. So that's why reverse T4 or reverse T3 is very, very important, especially when taking T4 medication. Now, I don't care what my reverse T3 is because I do T3 only. And I have trialed and erred different T4s, different dosages, lowering, upping. I cannot tolerate even 30 milligrams of NP or Armor. I cannot do it. I'm so bloated. It is painful. It is painful. So when it comes to the T3 and the T4, there's so many things that disrupt everything in our gut, and our kidneys and all of that jazz that the most important part of thyroid and medications, my dog is counter surfing. Lola Moose, get down. She's looking for any scraps of dinner. But it has to convert. And if you're not converting, your reverse T3 is going to skyrocket and you're screwed unless you find a doctor that understands how this works and understands when you take thyroid medication, your TSH is going to be suppressed. And that's okay because you're on thyroid medicine. It's very difficult to find somebody that understands this. So, yes, at Hack Your Health, when we got to meet, we went to dinner with all of our pals. The day after I got back from KetoCon Hack Your Health was my appointment with Dr. Amy, and I am so very grateful for that lady
Wow.
so
Okay.
much.
So, really quick. So, I had a really high reverse T3, and I was told that's inflammatory. Is that
No,
right? Reverse
no.
T3?
It can be, but if you're taking thyroid medication, 98% of the time, it's gonna be too much T4 medication. The
Oh,
only
that was
way to
before I took
lower
anything.
okay, so yeah, if you're not on thyroid medication, then there's something else going on. So you've got a broken bone or a something, and they use the example of you're sitting in the ICU and your body is stressed out, so it's starting to shut down, slowing down your metabolism and your food digestion because your body doesn't see that as important at the moment because you're in critical condition. So if you're not having a thyroid issue or haven't been diagnosed with it, finding the root cause of a high reverse T3 can be very challenging for sure. And
I
I have no
think,
idea what mine was because mine wasn't tested from that first doctor. I have no idea what it was before I started meds.
according to Amy's numbers, and I think Stacy had posted it too, my reverse T3 prior to starting thyroid medicine was through the roof. And we think that it's mold,
Mhm.
indoor mold, which is an
Yep.
issue, but also this was post me getting the bad virus, we don't say the word.
Yeah.
And that just causes an incredible inflammatory response to a lot of people. But since
Yep.
getting on so I'm with a smart doctor, I think, but I'm not quite there yet. But he put me on T3 only, and I am on 50 a day. And he was really scared to go above 40. And I was like, listen, I'm still falling asleep. So this is the highest he'll possibly go, and I definitely don't feel optimal, but, um, okay, so you start working with prior to working with Amy, did you ever touch your hormones at all?
Yeah, the first doctor when I was first diagnosed, I told her I wanted a full thyroid panel with reverse T3, which didn't happen, and all sex hormones. So that has been tested every time with every doctor. Treatment has varied. But you brought up mold. I wanted to mention really quick. The only thing I have gotten all four of these doctors to agree on is that I should not be, I don't know if I should say this, but if I should not be working in a building that is full of mold. And every doctor,
Wow.
besides the first doctor that I had, because I fired her pretty early, I didn't really give her the chance, it has wrote me a note that I am to work from home indefinitely until the building is properly and professionally mitigated for mold and asbestos and all of the others. So that's the only thing I've gotten these doctors to agree on. So yeah.
Can we go into really quick a little bit
Yeah.
of the dietary things that you did? I
Mhm.
was told, okay, I'm pretty much carnivore because I was told pretty much all vegetables agitate us, nuts, dairy, yeah, so everything except for meat. So how is that evolved for you, and have you been able to add things back?
Yes, yes and no, depending on what it is. Like I said, we started with keto. We did all of the packaged things, and I didn't care about seed oils or anything at the time. We did that for years, and then we decided to do carnivore. We did that for about 6 months, I think. It was good. It took me a while to adjust in the beginning, but I really needed a salad. I wanted some vegetables. I just craved variety, and I still have a thing with variety. We did that for a while, felt good, but I was ready to make a change. Like I said, we're kind of more in on the lower carb-ish style now. I have added some things in, some white potato every once in a while, some sweet potato fries every once in a while, kind of depending on what season I'm at. Like if I'm in a cut or maintenance or a bulk or whatever, kind of depends on what I add back. But right now my thing is rice cakes and peanut butter.
Oh, I miss peanut butter, but I was told, "Oh, no, no, no peanuts for the rest of my life."
No, no. I have noticed that nuts do inflame me, so a lot of peanuts, a lot of, almonds or cashews don't really do too much to me, but I've also had a food intolerance, testing done too, and nothing at all came back in thousands of different food items. And I also experimented with dairy to see if that made me feel any different, or if it changed any of my numbers in my labs, and it did absolutely zilch. So I do dairy. It made no difference for me whatsoever.
When I do dairy, I just get so inflamed. I mean, we're talking like 10 pounds of inflammation. And like this past
Yeah.
month, I cut dairy again and I lost like 12 pounds.
Yeah, that's what
I hope that
peanuts, because
changes one day.
I did, I got into the trail mix the other day. My husband makes the creamy and the Ninja, the protein ice cream every night. So he had some trail mix sitting around. So I kind of got into that a few days in a row, and oh man, yeah, I can't do that, or the almond flour. Yeah, I cannot do the nuts at all. But peanut butter's fine. Peanut butter's totally fine. I can have a serving or two and be totally fine. But if I start eating the raw nuts, can't.
Well, I just like to put out there into the world that my goal is to really heal and one day be able to have those things without reactions. And
Mhm.
I think it's possible. I just wonder maybe it takes a long time of eating a more natural whole foods diet to get there one day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, so let's get into the juicy stuff. So after Hack Your Health, you start working with Dr. Amy Horniman, and what
Yep.
is the difference?
Everything, all of it. All of it is different. So like I said, the previous thyroid clinic that I went to before, they only tested peak. So what that did in my labs was make my numbers higher. So that's why they cut my medication, because testing peak, which you're only staying at peak for an hour or two throughout the day. So why would you want to test the shortest amount of time where you're at? I don't know.
When is
I
peak?
tried it all. Peak is about 5 hours after medication, 4 to 5. Some people, it can be 3 hours. It depends. But especially if you're taking T3, testing time makes a huge difference in your labs. So Dr. Amy did only test 18 to 24 hours, no before, no after 18 to 24 hours after taking your last dose. So when I have labs that day before, I have to kind of adjust the times to make sure that it fits within that 18 to 24 hours. And then I also want to make sure I'm testing at the same time every day or every lab time. So it's either 8:30 or 8:45 every labs. and make sure that, it's away from my testosterone injection time. So there's some things that I change up to make sure that my numbers are going to fall where they should. But yeah, she's got me switched over to T3 only. The place that I went before on their social media claimed that they had patients that was T3 only. When I asked about it, they said, no, I don't want to do that. They wanted me to take the T4 and continue to gain weight. And then they offered me a refund because they knew that I shared my journey on social media. So yeah.
I just don't
But yes.
understand. They ran my labs, and I think my doctor's great. And he saw that I had almost no T3. My T3 was in the dank, but my reverse T3 was high. And then I forget what my other numbers were, but when you look at that, you go, she's converting it wrong. She's converting it poorly. She's converting it. So she's not converting. So we don't want to give her any T4 because that's going to make everything go the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Like it
Did
seems
you
pretty
take
easy.
T4 at the time?
What?
Did you take T4 at the time when your reverse T3 was high?
No.
Or that was before
Oh,
meds?
and my T4 was fine. So we knew that I was producing T4, but we knew and I had T4 in my system, but I was converting it into reverse T3 and I had almost no free T3. So based
Yeah.
on that, and then but he also ran inflammatory markers and it so his picture was not just those numbers. It was more than that. But anyway, okay. So she actually tested you differently. She moved you to
Mhm.
T3 only. What else?
We started well, I was taking progesterone beforehand, so that was the same. I did have well, we started on the cream and then the cream for progesterone. So we changed progesterone and then because that previous doctor only wanted to do slow release and I was not interested in a slow release T3 or progesterone. You need that stuff to hit and not slowly disperse that little tiny bit of medication throughout the day. You want it to hit all at once. And I went from cream to for testosterone, I went from cream to troche to injections, and I love the injections. That has been completely game that's a huge game changer right there for me, was the testosterone injections.
So how do we know if we need testosterone?
There's a bunch of things. Libido is number one for me, was huge. Yeah, testosterone is a major component to women's libido. And if libido is your number one issue, like it was mine, to be quite frank, your injections are going to be the most benefit for libido for women. The cream, you're no. I mean, if it works for you, that is great. Some people love it and they get all the benefits from it. I got zilch and I got zilch from the troche too.
Do you take any estrogen too, or was that fine?
Nope, that was fine.
So now what? Was there anything else to the program, to what's going on?
Well, her not necessarily. See, when I went to Amy, I knew what I needed. I knew with all the trial and error throughout the year that I had done, I knew what I needed. I just needed somebody to give it to me. And I knew that she would. So I bit the bullet and I paid the money and that's exactly what I got. So, also with the program there's an exercise program that you can get, but I was already lifting for 4 years before I started with her, so I didn't really need that part. And then there's also a food plan, there's recipes, there's food tracking. You get an appointment or you get a monthly appointment with some nutritionists as well. So there's a lot of things that come with her package, her program. I didn't need all of it because I had already lost my weight. I just needed help with my thyroid medication and my hormones and getting on the right medications, the T3 essentially, that I could lose that thyroid weight that I had gained with the thyroid tornado before with the other doctors.
So with
Yeah.
so much of this, it seems like it maybe changes over time. So is there follow-up?
Yeah, so when you work with Amy, there's 2 different packages at the time. I know she's made some changes here recently and started offering some other things, but there is a maintenance program that you can sign up for too, or you can take your notes if you can find a doctor or maybe your PCP will just continue to prescribe what she has already worked out with you. So you have different options to do, but if you cannot find a prescriber to give you what she's, continuing that you've been using, you can sign up for her maintenance program too.
So how did you discover how much T3 you needed?
I think playing around with it myself, like I said, I had that one doctor that would give me the T3. And I would kind of like, double up, not double up, but add to it every few weeks because when you're increasing T3, you need to do it slowly and you need to do it gradually and you need to do it in small amounts. So some of these doctors that have a cap on how much they will prescribe, that's not a good thing either because every body is different. I'm on 120 mcgs of T3 a day. So I split dose that. I take 60 in the morning and 60 in the afternoon. Some doctors won't even go over 10 or 15 mcgs of T3 a
40.
day. That's not good. At least 40. Usually I hear 10 or 15 and that is it. But what they're not understanding is especially people that are not converting at all, they're never going to feel better ever if you're going to stick them at 15. I mean, I was on 12 and a half and I couldn't get off the couch. Like I really felt like my skin was going to graft to the couch. It was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's a lot of doctor shopping to find who is going to work with you. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I had had enough and talked with the husband and he said, "Do it. Schedule with her. You know you're going to feel better." I couldn't do that anymore. That's not me.
So I have kind of a silly question. Where do you get it from?
Get what from?
Your T3, because I get mine from Walgreens and they only have 5 milligram pills. So that means I'm taking 10 per day. So a 90-day
Mhm.
supply is 900. And I have to go to 10 different pharmacies because each pharmacy only has 90 pills on hand. And I
Yeah.
leave feeling like I just robbed a bank. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's going to die because I just left with 900 pills. Yeah, so
Yeah.
where do you get it? What's the secret?
I actually get mine from Walmart and they just have different suppliers that they get it from. Unfortunately, it's a different manufacturer sometimes. When I first started, I think it was 25 milligram, 25 mcgs. And so at one point I had 25 mcgs and then I had fives. So I was taking 2 25s and 2 5s to equal the 60. And then my last appointment, she went ahead and put in a script for 50 mcg pills because I was doing fine on them. And so they had to order those as well. I haven't had any issues with Walmart. If they don't have it, they have it the next day. I only had one issue, and that was when they got the 25 mcgs ordered in. I think they got it in 2 days, but it came from a different manufacturer, and so they couldn't check the medication in to fill my bottle. So I had to drive an hour away to another pharmacy that can give me a partial refill of the 25s. So I only got 2 weeks. Nobody prescribes the amount that should be prescribed, you know?
Mhm.
And so nobody has those in stock. So when she sent in the script for the 50, they ordered it and yeah, I got it the next day.
Okay, I'm switching to Walmart, but my only question is that some of these have horrible fillers. Do you have any idea if yours is
Mhm.
clean?
Um, I don't think anything is really necessarily clean. You're gonna run the risk with anything that you have in a tablet. I've done both compounded, and regular tablets, and I honestly prefer tablets and asked to be switched at the last, place that I'd went to before. Compounding, especially when it comes to thyroid medication, your thyroid is, I don't wanna say so picky, but it's so touchy, that's the word. And in compounded medications, there is a 20% room for error, just like the food labels that, the food that we eat. They are allowed a grace period as well. And with thyroid, you can't do that. You cannot do that.
Mm.
So I did do compounded for a while. Now my LDN is still compounded, but I can't do anything about that. So that medication comes in a 50 milligram tab, and when you're low dosing that, you have to have it compounded. So and fillers with that is huge because if you don't specify what filler you want in a compounded medication, you're going to get wood pulp. So I always request my filler to be ginger because the wood pulp can cause digestive issues. It can cause diarrhea. It can cause migraines. I already had migraines at that point. And so I do ginger. But, anyways, sorry, that was long winded.
No, that's amazing. I had no idea. I also take
Mhm.
LDN. What do you take LDN for? Because I guarantee 99% of my audience has never heard of that.
Yeah, LDN is a low dose naltrexone. So at full dose is used for other things, usually alcohol addiction, maybe drug addiction. But a lot of research has shown that that medication at a low dose I know a lot about LDN. I was on LDN because I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis before any of this years ago. So actually getting my TPO antibodies tested while taking LDN, which is what they give you to reduce your antibodies, was still 4,000. So yeah, that was an issue, but I took that long before the thyroid diagnosis. But LDN is, like I said, can lower TPO antibodies that lowers inflammation in the body. I've also read studies that it can be helpful towards cancer as well. So it helps with a lot of things. I know a lot of MS patients will try it. Yeah, that is actually the medication that helped me lose weight. Now, that medication didn't help me lose weight, it helped me feel better joint wise, inflammation wise. Now, I didn't notice physically the inflammation difference, but I felt the difference. And so I felt a little bit better. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go on a walk after dinner. And then we decided to do the whole keto thing. So that was the first step in my journey, honestly, was getting LDN from my rheumatologist. It was my last option medication. I tried all the other crap, the Humira, the injection, all of the stuff for psoriatic arthritis that just made me feel worse. So we tried that, and I actually felt a difference. So that drug can be hard to get your hands on from
I take it
doctors.
too, and that was my first step too before diet because I was having so many food reactions. I had the bad virus. They call it long
Mhm,
haulers, and that was
mhm.
the only thing that my doctor knew to even try, and having that, like, before I started that, every time I ate, my neck would start to go numb, and my head would get really light, and it was almost like I was having a histamine reaction to literally everything I ate until I started that, and so I'm afraid to go off of it because now I've
Yeah.
been on it for 4 years.
Yeah, it's
I take
definitely
1 in
not
the
gonna hurt
morning
anything.
and 7 at night. I don't know. And they said we could go up a little bit more, but I'm almost out of my low dose.
Yeah,
Wait,
and they have actually bumped up what they consider a low dose now. I think I've heard people up to 8.5 or 9 milligrams and still be
I've heard
considered low
12.
dose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that, but the majority of what I have read and had people try, they still get the benefits at the 8.5. So they're still kind of questioning anything a little bit over that. Yeah, it was great for me. I don't know that it's doing anything for my TPO antibodies, but that was the first step in my weight loss, honestly, because
Mine
I've
have
taken
come
them for
down.
years.
I was, like 435, which I thought was terrible, but now I'm thinking 435, huh, barely
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
autoimmune.
Yeah. My last labs, when was that? A few weeks ago, I think. Yeah, I had it a few weeks ago. I think I was 165, and that's dang good for me. That's the lowest
Yeah,
yet. So
that's amazing.
every single lab, it's lower. It's not like 35 like some people, but from
Mhm.
4,000, that's great. I will take it.
Absolutely, that's amazing. Okay, so things start coming together after working with Dr. Amy, and what has life been like since then?
Crazy. It's just crazy the difference that I feel. I shared some previous stories in my Instagram about, my situation with the previous place because a lot of people are going to that place I'm finding out and they're wanting to know what happened with mine. So I went back and dug through some stories this morning and saved those to highlights, and I'm getting so many messages of people saying, "Oh my gosh, it's you can not just see it in your body or in your face, you can see it in your eyes, you hear it in the tone of your voice. You are completely different, and I feel completely different for sure. I definitely feel better than when I was first diagnosed, but even before even being diagnosed with any of that, with those labs, I feel even better than that. So that's something for sure. Yeah, like I said, I owe a lot to Dr. Amy. She has been amazing for me, and I should have bit the bullet and did it sooner, but sometimes we have to
But
go
you
through the
just
hard
never
times to
know.
learn.
We're
Yeah.
given such a big toolbox of things to
Yep.
try. You just can't know
Mhm. Yeah.
what's gonna actually
Yeah.
work. So here's you definitely looking different. It looks like the work you've been doing has paid off. The bloat is completely gone. We can see your muscle tone again. Throughout
Mhm.
all of this, how has your hair been?
I would say my hair is definitely better. Yeah, that's the bloat on the T4. Yeah, and I'm 5'2", so 5 pounds up on the scale means I cannot zip my jeans. So we went up
Here's you
quite a few
today. Woo!
jean sizes. Yeah, yeah, and I felt completely different.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt there is a huge difference in just a few months.
Yep, yeah, my first appointment with her was June 4th.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so 21 pounds in less than 3 months with Dr. Amy. Yeah.
Wow.
I definitely felt different after 2 weeks, and then I would say a month after that, I felt better, because that's what I was gonna say, during KetoCon, you showed that picture of us at that restaurant, and you were saying you remember me saying how I did not feel good. I was so terrified that I would miss that dinner because I went back to the Airbnb and I just laid in bed and I cried because I felt like dog do. It was terrible. I needed to take a nap. I didn't feel good. Peopling is very tiring, very rewarding at something like that, but it's very tiring. And I did not feel good. And I was really upset. And the husband was like, no, just take a nap. It'll be fine. But KetoCon was very hard. I felt very uncomfortable with the, 30 pounds that I had gained. Um, and I was very afraid to miss that dinner because 'cause I'd been looking forward to it for months and months, and of course, I did not feel good. But yes, the day after I returned back to Iowa from Texas and KetoCon was my appointment with her. 2 weeks, I felt a difference. A month, I felt even better. 2 months was better than that, but really the big difference was the 90-day mark when that testosterone started hitting. And
Wow.
unfortunately, yeah, when I listened to Dr. Amy's podcast and she says, I hate to say this, but I have a lot of patients say it's right around the 90-day mark when they start to feel the testosterone. And unfortunately, that is very, very true.
That it
Very
just
true.
takes
But
time.
it does. It does. It takes a lot of time, but when it does hit, I can't even explain it. You just have it's like a better sense of well-being. You just feel good. You have a little more confident. It helps your body composition. It helps muscle building, obviously keeping within your optimal range and not going to crazy numbers, but it is hard to describe how you feel on testosterone when you start to feel it, when you feel good, and not to mention libido is a great plus for that. So, yeah, it's been life-changing for sure.
I'd love my brain back, and I hear that that really helps your brain. Does it?
Yes. Yep. Yep. Progesterone as well too. Progesterone is great for hair, skin, nails, heart, bone, everything. Hormones are so very important, and you know what is essential for hormones is fat. So yeah, yeah. You
So
were talking about hair. And I
mhm.
got off topic, sorry. My hair was definitely shedding really bad. I would say this time last year, so probably some of the thyroid issue. I also had low ferritin at the time. I think my ferritin was 14, 17, something like that, when I first had it tested, and that was one of the tests that I had asked the first doctor to run, and she didn't know why. So and I think I had some of that seasonal shed at that time too, but I have really noticed here lately and I just got my hair done on Saturday, and my hairdresser said that the top of my hair, like right here, felt way thicker. So obviously, women are going to have a little bit of shed. That's very normal, but it has gotten a lot better. And I know a lot of people struggle with adding T3 or increasing T3, and that making your head or your hair, your hair shed. It does calm down. So I have found once you increase and you stay there and your body adjusts to it, the hair shedding really slows down. So, yeah, ferritin was huge for me to get up as well.
So I missed it. Did you end up getting some infusions?
No, I did not. The only thing I changed for ferritin was I added Thorn Ferrosorb, which is an iron supplement, and then I added a vitamin C with it as well. And then beef spleen. I started taking is it 550? Maybe it's 1,000 milligrams of beef spleen. So I started taking just as plain beef spleen capsules. And I think I was taking about 1,000, maybe a little over 1,000 milligrams of beef spleen. But I've recently changed that to a beef complex, so I'm getting spleen and kidneys and all of this heart and all of that stuff as well. And yeah, my ferritin is 212. So
Wow. Okay, I just
yeah,
checked mine. It was 45.
Yeah, yeah, it
Do
should
you
be about
remember what the
100.
optimal for people with thyroid and stuff is? Is it 90 or over? And people will say, "Oh, that's way too high." But
No,
isn't it
it's about
higher?
100. Yeah, we
100.
want it around 100. So, and Amy was not concerned with mine being too high at all. She's like, I'm not in the too high range, but it is on the higher end. And I didn't have any negative side effects or anything like that. And my hair is getting better. So,
Well, this is such a story of hope, and it's just amazing. I want to see if I missed anything in here. Okay, so
sure.
when you were keto originally, this is a big question I have. Did you ever hit any stalls, or was it kind of just,
Weight loss is never. So yeah, yes, definitely. I think 160, I mean, I know I had some more in there, but once I got to the 160s, I it took me forever to get out of that. And that is very normal for weight loss. I get a lot of messages of people asking me to talk them off the ledge of just throwing in the towel, and you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You're just giving up everything you've just done. Plateaus are hard, but the thing is it's not truly a plateau until it's at least a month long.
I'm going on like a year of the
Oh,
160s?
well, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
so it's
also
time
need
to
to
make
get
some
these.
changes.
I love to this story because, there's other pieces here. I'm not throwing the towel in. I'm just getting frustrated of will my body ever cooperate with all the work that I'm putting in?
Yeah.
But I think, maybe I need to have a little bit more hormone. And I went on the T3 and maybe I'm not on enough. Maybe that's part of the problem, but it didn't make as big of a change as the progesterone. The day
Yeah.
I started my progesterone was like, whoa, I am a human again. Whoa, I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not PMSing
Mhm.
all the time. And my cycles were 21 and they moved up to 28 again. And it's just like my life has been given back because of progesterone. So I wonder what testosterone could do for me.
Yeah, progesterone is huge, and I mean, so is testosterone. Progesterone, like I said, is so good for your heart and your bone and your hair and your skin and your nails and sleep, and it's good for anxiety. I used to have panic attacks where I would have to go somewhere and get some medications in the moment in a panic attack, have my husband drive me, and I just couldn't breathe. I'm, like, hyperventilating, all of the stuff. So, I had a pretty big issue with anxiety, and progesterone has been huge with that, and I know thyroid issues can cause that for anxiety as well, but progesterone was huge. Progesterone is the calming hormone. It really is. It's amazing stuff.
Well, you have quite the Instagram, and people absolutely need to follow you. I am going, in case anybody who follows me isn't following you yet, because maybe I have people who are strictly carnivore. It really doesn't matter. It's a spectrum. So I love your channel. I love your page because so here's your post. What I love is that you have, and I don't know how to mute it, but you have a lot of stories and you share yourself lifting, which I love because it just makes it more real. Like, and people can do this. You can do this. You can lift above your head. You can do these moves.
Mhm.
You've got a lot of different highlights here and then just inspiration here. Here's your new hair which looks fabulous. Even I
Thanks.
even find this inspirational because I have lost a lot of hair and I'm wondering if I can pull off shorter hair and you are rocking it.
Thanks. It's
I
up
think
today. I didn't get it washed, but
I think it's funny too that you listen to heavy music when you work out cuz I do too.
yeah, yeah,
You got
I
to
am
listen to
a
something that gets you moving.
yeah, but honestly, that's what I listen to anyways. I am a rock and metal music lover, and it says that in my bio. So I apologize if that music offends anybody, and I get messages sometimes that it does, but that's who I am, and I'm not gonna change who I am.
I want to throw a plug in too that if you are out there and you have never been to a meetup, you absolutely have to do it. One day I get this message from someone that I hadn't been messaging a ton with, and she was like, "Hey, we're doing a dinner on Friday. You want to come?" And I'm like, "Maybe." And I remember even
Mhm.
Friday going, "I don't know anybody. Should I go?" And I was like, let's throw caution to the wind. Anybody who comes to this conference is awesome. And I'm so glad I did because look at all these awesome women and men. And we had such a great time. And
Yeah,
I'm
it was
really,
so much
really,
fun.
really glad that I went. I talk to Courtney like every day, I feel like. and I cannot wait for the next one. I hope the dinner is a repeat. Are you going to Hack Your
Yes.
Health next year?
I believe so. I wish it wasn't right before Thanksgiving next year, but yeah,
But Tampa's awesome.
we're hoping. Yeah, we're hoping to. So hopefully, yeah. And yes, Courtney is my keto con buddy. Love her.
Oh, I love her. I'm so grateful that she reached out to me so I could meet new people, and the group was just dynamite. And it seems like every time you go to a meetup, honestly, I kind of find the same thing. You build family. Every time you
Yeah.
go and you put yourself out there and you get to know other people and hear their stories and you go, "Ooh, that's really awesome." So, well, Amanda,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story. I really think this is going to help people. And so everybody go out, like, subscribe to her, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you have a great day. Bye.
Thanks.